Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm Luis Pereira and today I'm going to be showing you some pro makeup techniques that you might have never heard of before. So I recently started taking an online makeup course by The Makeup Lovers and I will leave their Insta down below just in case you guys want to go check them out. It has completely changed the way I do my makeup. So I really wanted to do a video about it and share with you guys some new tips and tricks, and hopefully you don't know about them. The first thing I noticed out of the 11 masterclasses that are available was that the makeup artists are super into prepping the skin with skincare before starting any of the makeup. So I went ahead and moisturized my face with the Glow Recipe Banana Souffle Moisturizer. And this is so nice. It smells like bananas. So I put that all over my face and now I'm actually gonna do some soap brows. And I'm just gonna spray this with some setting spray to activate it. Grab a spoolie and dig right in. And now to get the brows really coated, I'm gonna go in and just make sure every single hair is coated with a bit of that soap or wax, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm just gonna start brushing them up and giving that fluffier brow look. Yeah, I'm gonna go with fluffier. So now that the brows are half done, I'm going to be moving on to primer now, and I'm going to be using the Milk Hydro Grip Primer, and I've been liking this with this new routine because it's super tacky and very hydrating. Everything is about hydration and looking super glowy and having your skin still look like skin. And I'm just going to apply this with my fingers all over my face. Next, I need some blurring and pore filling, so I'm going to be using my Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer. This step hasn't really changed for me. A lot of them didn't actually do it in the course, but they were also doing makeup on people with perfect skin. I don't. I'm just going to be filling in and blurring my pores as usual. So now that my pores are filled, I need to color correct because my skin is going through it lately. I'm just going to be using the Jeffreestar Peach Color Corrector and putting that everywhere. Yep, that looks about right. I'm not going to be using a sponge to blend this out. Instead, I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush and just blend this out. This covers up everything much better than a sponge would because a sponge soaks up too much of the product. It takes a bit longer, but the results are worth it. So now that I look like I have decent skin, I'm going to be going in with some foundation, and I'm going to be using the Fenty Hydrating Longwear Foundation, and I am in the shade 270. For this step, I will be using a sponge, and this is a Juno & Co. one. Oh, I just ruined my top. I thought this top was going to be a good idea, but obviously not because I just spent 10 minutes getting foundation out of it. Oh, let's try again. And I'm just going to apply this as I usually would. I'm going to make sure to avoid directly under my eye because we already color corrected enough and the concealer should be sufficient. Next, I'm going to contour a little bit, and I'm going to use my RCMA palette, and I'm going to grab a Morphe M224 brush and dip in. What I've noticed is they use a lot of cream products just to make everything super dewy and fresh looking. And instead of a sponge, I am going to use a Real Technique stippling brush to blend all of this out. I think it's much easier to blend out, and it gives a much more natural look. And I've always found that the sponge can lift a little bit of the foundation up and the brush doesn't do that at all. And for the nose, I'm going to grab the Real Techniques fluffy brush again that we used for the color correcting, and I'm going to blend out my nose. So now I'm going to go in with some concealer, and I'm going to be using the Jeffreestar concealer in the shade C13. I'm just placing a little bit on the inner corner, a little bit out here, and I will be using a sponge to blend this out. I will leave my eyes for last because the longer you leave concealer in one spot, it will set and it will be a little bit more coverage than it would be if you blended it out straight away. Just get right in there and blend this up. And this will make your eyes a little bit more lifted. So usually at this stage I would set all of this with powder, but I'm not going to be doing that yet. I'm actually gonna move back to my eyebrows and fill them in. So to fill in my brows, I'm gonna be using the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Ebony. That's the first time I said that, okay? And next I'm going to use my P. Louise base to cover up my brows and prime my lids, because I'm going to move on to eyeshadow. So one thing they stressed in the course was to always use an eye primer for your eyeshadow and not concealer, because concealer wasn't made to go on your eyelids, and that's why your eyeshadow might be creasing if you are using a concealer. And I really like the fact that my face isn't set, because before when I used to blend out my primer, it wouldn't really mix that well with the foundation because it already had powder on it. And now the two just blend in seamlessly. So now that the eyes are prepped, I'm going to start with my eyeshadow, and I'm actually going to start by using some cream eyeshadow. And this is the Clarins Cream Eyeshadow Satin Finish in the shade Purple Rain. It's a brownie bronzy shade, as you can see. It's got a bit of a sheen to it. And I'm going to grab a Morphe 456 brush. I'm just going to place it on the outer corner, stamping it and blending at the same time. I'm going to place a little bit on the inner corner and start blending that out. And then with whatever's left on the brush, I will connect the two. So now that I'm okay with the shape of that, I'm going to dip into another cream eyeshadow. And this is actually the MAC Pro Longwear Paint Pot, and it's in a champagne color. Oh, look how pretty that is. And I'm going to grab a flat brush and place this on the center. So now that the cream eyeshadows are on there, it's time to go in with some eyeshadow. The MUAs recommended using Natasha Denona. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to grab a fluffy brush by Morphe, and this is the M456 brush, and I'm going to dip into this bronzy brown shade here. So I'm just going to go over the darker cream eyeshadow. Now I'm going to dip into the shade Rope on a 221S brush by MAC, and just blend out those edges a little bit more. And now with a fluffy brush again, I'm going to dip into the shade Antique, and I'm placing that on the outer and inner corner. And now in the center of the lid, I'm going to go in with the shade Queen, spritz it with some Fix Plus, and now just tap that on the center. So I have this bronzy shimmery shade from Clarins. It looks like this. Ooh. Yeah, I think we need that. And I'm just gonna go in with my finger. Oh, that's so much better. Dipping into the shade Antiques, and I'm gonna go along my lower lash line. Then for my inner corner, I'm gonna go in with the Jaclyn Hill highlighting palette into the shades Iced and Mesmerized, and I'm gonna put that on my inner corner. Oh. I have a little bit of fallout, but as my foundation is not set yet, I can just do that. So that's one I done. I'm gonna do the other one off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and the eyes are done. I'm really happy with how these creams and eyeshadows play together. It's the first time I used that technique, so it is me approved. Next, I'm gonna go in with some mascara, and I'm just using the Benefit Roller Lash, and I'm gonna coat my lashes. So next I'm going to put on some lashes, and I'm going to use the Lily lashes in the style Miami. Now in the classes they actually use single lashes, but I'm too lazy to do that, so a strip lash it is. So now that the glue is a little tacky, I'm going to place this right against my lash line. So now that the eyes are completely done, it's time to come back and finish our base. To tell you the truth, with how hot it is, I am so glad I didn't set this before, because I would have sweat through my foundation by now. Now I'm gonna do some blush, and I'm gonna be using a cream blush, and this one is by Shiseido, and the shade name is Setsuko. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but this color is so nice. I'm just going to be using the stippling brush that we used for the contour and blending that out. I'll do the same over here. So now we have a little blush. Next we need some highlighter, and I'm going to use the Cover FX liquid highlighter, and this is in the shade Moonlight. And I'm going to use the Real Techniques fluffy brush and just grab a little bit and start highlighting. And I'm just going to put this everywhere I would usually highlight. Put a tiny bit on the tip of the nose. That wasn't a tiny bit. Louise. And now it is finally time to set our face, and I'm going to be using the MAC Studio Fix Perfecting Powder, and this is in the shade Medium. So I'm going to grab the Tarte blender foil again, and I'm going to dip in very lightly, and I'm going to set under my eyes and my nose. And then with a big fluffy brush, I'm going to lightly dust over certain areas of my face, basically where we had that concealer. So you might be thinking, what about the rest of your face? So here's the thing. We're gonna set a contour with bronzer, a blush with a powder blush, and a highlighter with some powder highlighter. And this is gonna change your base forever. Trust me. Next, I'm gonna grab my bronzer, and I'm using the Fenty bronzer, and this is the shade Private Island. And I'm gonna go over my contour. So now I need to set my blush, and I'm going to dip into the Urbandecay Born to Run palette, and I'm going to use the shade Still Shot. Next is highlighter, and I'm going to use the Jaclyn Hill highlighting palette. I'm just going to dip into the shades Iced and Mesmerized, and I'm going to go over the cream highlight. And that is the skin all complete. It looks super fresh and dewy and hydrated. My skin still looks like skin, but better. So finally I'm gonna do my lips, and I'm gonna use the Fenty Beauty Stunna Lip Paint, and this is the shade Uncuffed. And the final step is setting spray, and I'm going to be using the Urbandecay All Nighter. Okay guys, so I sorted out my hair and this is the finished look. I hope you guys learned a few tips and tricks that you hadn't heard or seen before. Make sure to follow me on my Insta. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! It's so hot. Oh, I didn't mean to get it in my mouth. Oh! I thought this top was gonna be cute, but I'm just hot. I'm just hot in it. Ooh. And I'm gonna use the shade. It's so hot. It's so hot. Why is it so hot?